Decluttering is the process of getting rid of excess possessions that are no longer useful, necessary, or desired. It can be a time-consuming and emotionally challenging task, but the benefits of decluttering are numerous. A decluttered space is often more organized, efficient, and enjoyable to be in, and the act of decluttering can also bring a sense of accomplishment, clarity, and peace of mind. When it comes to decluttering, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Different people will have different priorities, goals, and challenges when it comes to decluttering their space. However, despite the differences, there is one question that is universally important to ask oneself when decluttering. Does this item bring value to my life? This question might seem simple, but it can be surprisingly difficult to answer. Many of us accumulate possessions for various reasons, and it can be hard to let go of things that we have a sentimental attachment to, or that we think we might need someday. It's easy to justify keeping something by saying, "I might use it someday," or "it's still good, I don't want to waste it," or "it has sentimental value." But the reality is that most of us have far more possessions than we actually need or use, and these excess items can create clutter and chaos in our lives. So, how do you determine whether an item brings value to your life? One way to approach this question is to consider the following factors. 1. Utility. Does the item serve a practical purpose in your life? Do you use it regularly, or is it just taking up space? If an item is not useful to you, it is probably not adding value to your life. 2. Sentimentality. Do you have a sentimental attachment to the item? Is it something that has personal or historical significance to you? While sentimental value can be a powerful reason to keep something, it's important to be honest with yourself about whether the item is truly meaningful to you, or if you're just holding onto it out of habit or obligation. 3. Cost. Did the item cost a lot of money? While cost alone is not a good reason to keep something, it can be a factor to consider when deciding whether the item brings value to your life. If you spent a significant amount of money on an item, you may feel more inclined to keep it, even if you don't use it often. But it's important to ask yourself whether the item is worth the cost of keeping it, both financially and in terms of the space it takes up in your life. 4. Emotional impact. Does the item bring you joy or happiness? Does it have a positive emotional impact on you? If an item is something that you truly love and that brings you joy, then it may be worth keeping, even if it is not particularly practical or useful. On the other hand, if an item is something that you don't particularly enjoy or that brings negative emotions, then it is probably not adding value to your life. 5. Future potential. Is there a reasonable possibility that you will use the item in the future? If you are unsure about whether to keep an item, it can be helpful to consider whether there is a realistic chance that you will use it someday. If you can envision a specific scenario in which you would use the item, then it may be worth keeping. If not, then it is probably not adding value to your life. As you consider these factors, it's important to keep in mind that decluttering is a personal process, and what brings value to your life may be different from what brings value to someone else's life. The key is to be honest with yourself about what you really need and what you can let go of. Another important aspect of decluttering is to have a clear plan in place for what you want to do with the items that you are getting rid of. Throwing things away can feel wasteful and irresponsible, but there are many other options for disposing of excess possessions. Donating items to a charitable organization or selling them through a garage sale or online marketplace can not only help you declutter your space, but also give your possessions a new life and purpose. You can also consider repurposing or upcycling items that you no longer need or want, which can be a fun and creative way to declutter. It's also important to remember that decluttering is a continuous process, and it's normal to revisit your possessions and reassess what brings value to your life on a regular basis. As you go through the decluttering process, you may find that your priorities and needs change, and what brought value to your life before may no longer be relevant. It's okay to change your mind and let go of something that you once thought was important. The important thing is to keep the question of value at the forefront of your mind and to be honest with yourself about what truly brings value to your life. In conclusion, decluttering can be a challenging but ultimately rewarding process, and by asking yourself this question, you can create a space that is more organized, efficient, and enjoyable, and that reflects your values and priorities.